Welcome, low ego action heroes. I've put the wrong title on the stream. I am so sorry. This is the reaction stream. It's just that kind of week. I'm going to go in now and change it on YouTube. Too late to change it on LinkedIn. But welcome. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. Check us out. And it is not Research Ops with Michelle Ronson. It is Reaction Stream. So let me change that. I am so sorry. How's everybody doing? Who's with me today? Anybody else feeling like this week was exceedingly long? Is it just me? I don't know, but I apologize for getting that wrong. Let me see if I can correct all the streams. Thanks for joining me. And every Friday, I react to stuff that you have sent in. And the great part about LinkedIn is there is no way for me to edit my stream. UX, y'all. Let's see if I can try again. So we've got a bunch of stuff for today's show. I've got it all lined up, but first I'm trying to edit the LinkedIn feed because I wrote the wrong thing. Reaction stream. Okay. Sorry again, everybody. I have a whole bunch of different things to set up and I don't always get it right, but I'd like to hear how you are doing. All right. Who is ready to react to some stuff that you sent in? I'm ready. Hey, Linda. Good to have met you this week. All right, let me shift over to my page of things, and then we'll get reacting. And I want the live chat to react as well, because we are. I'm watching the chat rooms, and so let's see, what button do I have to press? This one. But then now you're seeing the sausage being made. Here we go. All right, so you should be seeing, yes, my screen, the chat room, the optional tip jar, and here we go. So we got a lot of stuff this week, but I think a lot of these will be short. But again, if you're watching live, chime in. Let me know what you think. Someone asked me about this book. Is it the author? I don't know. It says, Navigating the Politics of UX, Strategies and Stories from 40 Years in the Trenches by John Scott Bowie. Steph says, oh, I wanted to buy this one. I haven't read it. So my response to this is, you tell me. I hope some of you will buy it, give it a read. Drop by our Slack channel. You can find a link to that on deltacx.com/links. And tell us how you like it, because I have not read it. It only has 2 ratings. It came out 10 days ago. So I really don't know. I don't know what to expect of it. Is it a long book? 192 pages. Okay, that's kind of a medium length book. So yeah, bad news. I haven't read it. So let me know what you think of it. And I'm curious. So, there you go. If you've read it, let me know what you think. All right, next we got this article from D-Scout, and I'm not too sure who's working in the blog at D-Scout, but they seem to post a lot of stuff that I can only describe as bizarre. We previously looked at one of their quite poor articles that they have Jared Spool in, where he kind of undoes himself in the middle of the article. This one claims that we should embrace subjectivity and use autoethnography. I tried to make it through this article, but it basically sounded like, hey, yeah, we need to research with people, but you can also use your own experiences also. What? How do you share your own experience in relation to cultural experience depends on the type of autoethnography you're going to conduct. I don't know. I'm hoping somebody will tell me something about this, but I have to say at a surface level, it says autoethnography requires self-reflection. It really, hi Vanina, it really sounds like I'm kind of also my user, or I'm kind of in their community, so let's also look at me. I think that even when I am the user and even when I feel like I'm a part of the target audience, I never look at me. I always want to make sure we're looking at the customers, the users, the potential users, the former users. Otherwise, I think not only could this end up kind of skewed, but what do we teach our coworkers about UX research if we teach them that we can be the subjects? Because, hey, we're kind of the user here too. So this person says, when I did autoethnography, I produced an academic paper. Well, I'm not sure who wants an academic paper on your autoethnography, but if you are in an academic environment and you believe that reflecting on your own experience has value to yourself or someone else, you can. But I have to admit, this one isn't really striking me as something I would recommend for perhaps in general or the non-academic world, but I'm curious about your reactions to this. Next, we have a LinkedIn post from someone I don't know and don't follow named Colton Schweitzer. And if you look at his link up here, you can see what words he's given himself on LinkedIn. Colton Schweitzer, UX, UXUI, UI, UX. Oh, hold on. We've got porn spam already. So let's knock that out. I don't know why they bother, but they do. So please do not follow anything that looks like it could be a link. It's porn spam, I'm sure, though I haven't checked. Okay, so this is Colton basically saying, hey, stop everybody. Don't poop on people who say UX, UI, and UI, UX. We're supposed to have empathy and, hold on, empathy and understanding and all this stuff. And, you know, there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of battles about this. And let me tell you where I am with this. Oh, Linda says, I feel like even beginning to rely on your own experiences can let your own assumptions creep into your work. Absolutely, Linda. Great point. So when I look at Colton, obviously the first thing I notice is his LinkedIn name here, which says, I'm helping graphic designers transition to UX and product design. Now, first of all, my question is, if UX UI is such a great term, why didn't you use it there? But second of all, obviously this is somebody who does not like that the graphic designers that he is trying to move into UX or product design are probably being poked at a bit by people who are saying, hey, don't say UX UI. Again, to me, this is a hill I don't want to die on anymore. Yes, Steph says he seems to have a big horse in this race for sure. I think so. And ultimately, how much action did this article get? It got a lot of likes and, you know, again, probably from followers who don't like that people are saying, hey, you know, people don't know. So again, my take on this is I don't think it's a hill that we should die on anymore. We have so many bigger problems. You know, when I think about the problems that are happening at our workplaces every day, they are because people misunderstand UX. Now, do the terms UX, UI play into that misunderstanding? At this point, people misunderstand UX even when they're a UX researcher, and the word UI is nowhere in the neighborhood. So to me, UX, UI is an unfortunate term. To me, it's outdated. To me, it doesn't represent what most people doing UX should do, but it's not a hill I want to die on. So I'm trying to gently correct people and say, hey, UX and UI are two different things. Which of these things is this job doing? And if it's doing both, how does someone have time for two full-time jobs? But I'm trying not to fight people on it or make them feel alienated over it, because we have so many things that are going wrong in our industry. And while this is one of them, I don't think it's a root cause. I would rather go after the root causes and do a little bit more lecturing or poking there than go at every symptom. That's my choice. Okay, someone sent in this article, LinkedIn post really, by Michelle Packrin, who is a friend of the show and a friend on our Slack channel and just a friend all around. And the comment with it was like, hey, what happened to it's not UX without users? So that's an interesting point. And the way that I see it is this. It isn't UX without users, but sometimes the way we have to get at user information is not great. And we end up having to do kind of plan B to try to get user information for our research. Now, ultimately, there isn't really anything that replaces testing with users. We can test with ourselves. Is that auto-testography? We can test with our coworkers, but that's not really testing. I consider that just collaboration if someone else is looking at your designs. So testing, to me, you really need users. You can't ask the salespeople and things like that. But for the early research, a lot of people sometimes have to supplement their research or only do research that is in an indirect way. So I have been in this situation as well. Elliot says, Michelle is awesome. Yes, a lot to be liked there. Hi, Miguel. So there are times where we can't have access to users for good and bad reasons. Probably more auto-testography trademark. I have so many trademarks at this point. I don't want to keep paying for them. So I think that there are times where we can't do a lot of research with users, and that's unfortunate. And if you're only going to give me users for one thing and it's research or testing, and I really can't get both, maybe, I don't know, can I get some for research and some for testing? This all seems so stupid, but very often companies block UX from users. So what do? We've got to do something. You can't do nothing, and you don't want to do genius design where it's just, hey, I think I know the best way. We'll just do my idea. So we've had a previous show on this of what to do when you don't have access to users. There's stuff on it in my book, but in general, I think that there are things that are sometimes proxies. They are not plan A. They are not the best way to go. Yes, they bring bias and they color things, but when you're in a really bad situation and you really can't get access to users, then you have to use these techniques. You have to talk to the people who talk to the users. You have to talk to sales. You have to talk to customer support. Anybody who is interfacing with the users, talk to them. See if these people can be interviewed, maybe with those other people involved. Vanina says, saw this one this week and thought of you. Yeah, and in general, I like and agree with Michelle. So yes, the ideal situation is to have researchers researching with the users, but there's a lot of times where we don't have access to that and we still have to come up with something, and we can't say, I refuse to do this work. So again, it can still be UX, but you've got to push harder to try to get access to those users. So that's my reaction. This was a Medium article, and I forgot to look this person up. Well, we're still over here in LinkedIn, right? Elena Borisova. Let's see. Will that get us there? Is that her? Oh, there's a few different head of product design. Oh, it's this slightly leaning person. So head of product design, and looks like she has a product design and interaction design background. Okay, so finally we've got someone who looks like they have a good background. Whew. Okay, so this says how to combine qualitative and quantitative insights for better product decisions. Now, especially when I see an article that says how to, then I'm certainly going to look for precise information on how to. Maybe these are steps or something like that that says, okay, this is what you do this, do this, do this, do this. And I looked through this article earlier and I didn't see that. So it says, how do you combine qualitative and quantitative insights? And then it says, part 1, discover user problems. Okay, we were kind of going to do that anyway. And they're saying, use some quantitative stuff and use some qualitative stuff. Though they're saying usability test, I would probably say more observational research. Usability test is maybe more evaluative. But I guess if you're talking about the current product, I don't know, I would still probably give people a task and not necessarily treat it as usability. But that's just me. I'm trying to learn more about them. But anyway, nothing totally wrong here yet. Part 2, validate your solutions. Quantitative. A/B testing will tell the bottom line. This works for more users than before. So if you've been hanging around this channel, you know that I'm not a fan of A/B testing. I believe that A/B testing would be used once we have decided the final designs and they're released to the public and they're live or they're in an experiment and we can test the performance. But I wouldn't A/B test my way to a design. And I also have an article on Medium called something like Your Metrics Are Myopic. And I think sometimes A/B testing looks at a quick win and sometimes misses some other outcomes that tend to happen. Sometimes something that happens great here creates a domino effect down the line where we have a worse solution. And so it's really important, in my opinion, to say, well, sure, we're A/B testing for this, but we should also be looking for this other thing. So be careful there. And I also don't validate solutions through A/B testing. I validate solutions through usability testing and iteration. A/B testing is not for solution validation. It's for solution performance, because you could have a validated solution that doesn't work as well as the old one. It was still valid, but maybe it doesn't give us the performance that we were looking for. So I would disagree with her here. And to sum it up, whoa, I didn't totally feel like I learned how to bring these two together. I learned that we should do both of them in some cases, according to her. But I don't feel like I really got a how-to, which that was the article topic, to do it. It was really like, do both, take a look at both. So that tends to feel a little clickbaity to me when I feel like the article didn't live up to the title. If you're going to say how to do it, I feel like I want more. What about you in the audience, the live audience? Do you feel like we learned how to do this? Or did you feel like something was missing? Or did you feel like something else? Meanwhile, I'm going to move on. This one was someone found a template in Notion and they wanted to know if I thought this was a good usability testing report. Now, we did a sample report for observational research over in the micro lessons playlist. So you can see that report. And I would have to say this doesn't necessarily reflect the template that I would use. Oh, Miguel says that last article should be called Types of Research You Can Use. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. So it says usability testing report, executive summary. Yeah, always good to start with an executive summary and make sure you write it last. So make sure you've written everything else and then you use the executive summary to summarize that. And so you write it last. Don't make the mistake of writing it first. Detailed results. Boop, bop, a beep, and color-coded stuff, do not do, because that's not going to be colorblind friendly. And be careful of making icons into hieroglyphics where people have to remember shapes and colors and things. So no, I would say I disagree with that. And tasks. And so, and then further actions. So I would say in general, I'm not a fan of this. I think this is, Maggie says, boop, bop, beep. Debbie is a robot. Linda says this article seemed slightly sparse. I guess you mean the last one. Yeah, so I would say this does not match my report for research. Where is your methodology? I think that's important to put in there. How did you do this? When? Why? What were your goals? What were the tasks people had? I think it's missing a lot of information here. Links to prototypes or links to other documents. And then also I find that in general, depending upon who it's for, when I'm doing usability testing, I don't always write a formal report. Sometimes I'm just feeding that information right back into the design. And so the question is, who is the report for? Whenever you have a report due, ask the people who are going to have to see the report, how do they want this? Do they prefer a long form report? Do they prefer a PowerPoint or slide deck type of thing? Do they want video clips? Usually in my research, we're sending out video clips. If you did usability testing, I bet it's great to include video clips, but I don't see those here either. So I would say this isn't really what I would use as a template. If you find it works for you, that's up to you, but it's not really my thing. All right. Next, we have an article that I do want to spend a little bit more time on because I do think it's another flawed premise. So very often I see people writing articles with good intentions, but they kind of end up the article and the title and where they were going with it. This is why people have editors. Oh, Steph says, I put Post-it notes on the mock-ups directly and dots when different users had the same issues. I don't do reports these days. We directly iterate on the mock-ups. Yeah, I don't usually do usability testing reports because it just goes right back into the sausage, but I do tend to do reports on other types. So this is an article by Peter Merholtz called Agile, of course, in quotes, is eating designs young. Wow, sounds fatal. Or yet another reason why embedding designers doesn't work. Okay, so basically, I think those two things are already kind of weird. I'm not sure what you mean by we're eating our young. And why embedding designers doesn't work. So far I'm getting a little bit of a clickbait vibe. He's got a lot here to sustain. And again, some of this is me just critiquing people's article writing techniques. But I think if you're gonna write an article, you gotta have a good writing technique or stuff falls apart fast. Which again is why people normally have editors, but obviously in today's world of self-publishing, not everybody does that. So basically, Peter starts out by saying, here's a typical team structure for an e-commerce product. If you're not looking at the screen, it's just basically the idea of teams in different domains. There's engineers, there's a product manager, and then he shows one designer. And he says, when you embed this designer, you're now asking that individual to deliver across a daunting range of capabilities: visual design, interaction design, user research, information architecture, leadership planning, communication skills, strategic thinking, and copywriting. And my thought was like, whoa, hold on. There's something going on here that isn't quite right. Now, we do know that there are many jobs that want people to be jacks of all trades. We do know that there are many jobs that combine 7 jobs into one and hope that you can do this. But to me, because where he ends up going with this is, let me go where he's going, then I'll tell you where I see the problem. But feel free to jump in if you're watching live. A junior designer thrown into this situation struggles. Hey, wait a minute. Anybody being thrown into this situation will and should struggle because more than one full-time job on your plate is a recipe for burnout and disaster. So first of all, let's say this is not just a warning or a concern for young people or juniors. And not all of our juniors are young, Peter. So the junior designer ends up being a production artist. Yes, we know very often that a lot of UX ends up being boiled down to production design, and that has to do more with how the company sees and understands UX, which I don't think this article fixes, because that is the root cause. The product manager making designers into production artists is a symptom. How about we get at the root cause? So basically, everyone suffers when we don't make space for juniors, I guess, but now this seems like a whole new point. We're eating our young, embedding designers into a team doesn't work. Everyone suffers when we don't make space for juniors. So I feel like we've introduced a lot of stuff, but I'm not sure that we've necessarily tackled it, especially in a meaningful, actionable, and helpful way. I don't know what to do. How do I make space for juniors? What can I do about any UX worker being treated as a production artist? So where is the what to do about it? Now, here he says the way forward, so maybe this is his what to do about it: organize design around teams, not individuals. Okay, so certainly this can make sense from what he's written so far. In episode 116, I suggest that there should be 5 UX people on each team. So where he's showing engineers and a product manager, and before he showed a designer, I would show engineers, a product manager, and 5 or 6 UX people. But here he's actually showing something that to me is actually worse. It's actually a downgrade. So he seems to be showing what we call the agency model, which is instead of a designer dedicated to a particular engineering team or product manager, it looks like he's showing shared resources, that the designers are on a team, but they're all shared resources to the teams for whom they do work. This is very commonly done at many companies. Both models are done, and there's pros and cons to both of them. But the problem is he's showing 2 senior designers, 2 junior designers, and a content designer handling everything for 5 teams. That person is spread incredibly thin. And let's also notice that he introduced 2 seniors and a content designer when his first pass just showed individual designers that he said were junior. Well, hold on, Peter. If you're going to build the dream team and you're going to bring in content and you're going to bring in seniors, why don't you just go for the gusto? Why don't you just go for the model that I've been putting out there, which is 5 or 6 UX practitioners per engineering or product owner team? Then it would be 3 researchers and 2 or 3 designers of varying levels. So seniors paired with juniors, seniors paired with each other, mid-level with a lead. Like, why still? These people are all going to be overworked and spread thin as they try to juggle the needs of 5 different teams. I don't believe that this is an upgrade. So I don't think that that solves the problem. And then he seems to blame Agile for this. And again, if you want to fix what's going wrong with Agile, then you tell Agile, hey, you put 6 people on an engineering team, then give us 6 UX people, because we have a mountain of work. I'm telling people, especially in Agile and engineering, that if UX is your bottleneck, you need to hire more. You need to hire more UX architects and researchers until we're not a bottleneck. That's it. You do the same thing with developers. If you are short on developers, nobody goes, oh no, we're short on developers. Why don't we have these developers just work part-time for multiple teams? That doesn't solve that. That might even make it worse. So I think that he's gone in the wrong direction here. Steph says, I worked like that in a previous company and I ended up with 7 projects a week and teams wanted their stuff first. That does not help with not burning out. I agree. So I would have to say I totally disagree with this article. I think he's gone in the wrong direction. I don't think blaming Agile helps here. You have to blame a combination of things, but I'm going to start with UX leadership for not pushing to hire more people onto UX, and for Peter acting like, well, we're only going to get 5 people, 6 people, so we're just going to have to juggle them all over the place. That's not going to be good. Vanina says, is the writer a junior? I don't know. Probably not. Okay, and our last one for today, because we've gone a little bit long, this was an article called Why the Product Manager is Secretly Annoyed by You. And anybody who's worked in UX knows that the product manager is annoyed by you, but there's nothing secret about it. It's a pretty common and fairly overt negative relationship that tends to happen. I'm going to try to be working this year on how we improve those relationships, and if I come up with something good, I'll let you know. But it is certainly not a secret. So this feels a little clickbaity because that's not a secret. We already know. And it sounds like this is this person's reasons. Reason 1, it could be because you've yet to demonstrate the necessary chops to own the UX. Okay, so let's use our critical thinking and ask ourselves, could this be true? Could your product manager be disrespecting you and secretly hating you, or whatever the case may be, because you haven't shown good enough work? Well, I think the question is, have you been given the chance to do good work? Because very often, because we have these bad relationships with product management, they, as we saw from the previous article and other articles today, they just want to turn us into production designers. And even here, they're saying, yeah, move that button over here and go with this other idea, and hey, I made my own wireframe. If the product manager is doing that, This, to me, this reason one that he says is victim blaming. If you have a product manager that is taking over your work or bossing you around or trying to turn you into a production designer, then I would say that might not be your fault. And I don't want to tell you that you haven't demonstrated the necessary chops to own your own freaking job. It is quite possible that the product managers are trying to take over UX for whatever good or bad reason. Maybe they don't respect UX workers. They think everyone's a designer and they can do what you do. Please don't think that you did this. If it was broken when you got there, you didn't break it and you can't fix it. So be careful of this. But again, and he doubles down on it. They're sensing. It seems like they're overbearing, but they're sensing you have to demonstrate true ownership or trust. And what was this guy's role again? Senior product designer. Can we find him? Jonathan Lee's a bit of a common name. I'm not sure we're going to be able to find him. Oop. Does anybody look like the picture we're seeing? I don't think we're going to find him. It's just unfortunately a common name. So again, this that part comes off to me as victim blaming, because I know at many workplaces, and I'm sure the people in the chat room can back this up, your problem is that you haven't demonstrated enough ownership. And your problem is that you haven't created enough trust. Hi, Pallavi. So don't fall for that. Reason 2 says it could be because you've yet to account for the necessary perspectives needed to give them confidence in your solution. Is that different than reason 1? I'm not sure that's different. You haven't demonstrated the necessary chops to own UX, and you haven't accounted for perspectives needed to give them confidence. So that sounds like you haven't done enough design by committee. You haven't talked to the developers about your solution. I mean, yes, there are times where other people have great ideas and we should get them, but I'm really worried about people pushing this design by committee stuff, that you haven't done your job if you didn't ask the developers for their ideas. Well, that's funny. They're not asking me for my ideas. And while I'm at it, the product manager isn't asking me for my ideas either. Yes, Steph is right. Right above my head, Steph says, you mean that after 150 interviews, 149 rejections, some super long design tests and interviews to get hired, you still have to prove you can do the job? Come on. Yeah, I found that with somebody else I spoke to a couple of years ago after I had done a talk at the IA conference, my original version of Stop Evangelizing UX. And she said, I'm a new manager at company so-and-so, and I'm really working hard to try to earn people's trust so that I can really try to change what's going on here with UX and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you got the job. Why are you trying to earn their trust? You got the job. You had their trust. Why didn't you show up and just own it? You had their trust. And she goes, oh my God, what have I done? So yeah, Steph's right. You got the job. You got their trust. You can run with that as hard as you can run with that. If other people are blocking you, like the product manager, again, you can't fix it. It's not your fault. And then number 3, if something is still awry, it could be because you're just doing each other's jobs. Now, of course, they quote Nielsen Norman Group here, but they don't tell you what to do about that. So F this clickbait, boom, done with that. All right. Let's go back to a giant picture of me. Did I do that correctly? I hope I'm not playing the theme song. So that would be it for the reaction stream. And let me also quickly thank all of the people who are giving to the channel financially, which is totally optional, but always appreciated. We have our YouTube memberships where you can join. You don't get a lot for them, but you certainly get my thanks because you don't have to donate financially to the channel, but it's always appreciated. Ad revenue, we donate to charity, but the other stuff I do keep and reinvest in the channel, like buying cheesy stock videos. This is one that I actually paid for. Yes, I pay for this stuff because I'm not an artist. So, and that creator deserves money. So no, I don't steal people's videos. Any thoughts or comments before we wind up? Sorry that this one ran a little late. Usually I try to look at just 4 things, but we had like 7 or 8, and I figured let's just jump on all of them and get them done in one shot. I'll be back on Monday. We don't have anything to design for the Think Out Loud sessions. If you'd like to submit something, you can go to deltacx.com/links and submit something for Think Out Loud. Otherwise, we'll just do more how to recognize good and bad UX. Tuesday is office hours. It'll be just me, I believe. And Wednesday, do we have something cooking on a Wednesday show? Let's see. Wednesday, no, Wednesday we have to reschedule. So Wednesday is not happening. We have to reschedule it again. It's our trends and predictions show. We're going to have to move it into March, but there you go. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? And remember, please also subscribe. And if you enjoy the shows, please find 3 people who you think should know about this channel and tell them head over and watch some of our videos. Don't forget to check out the playlists. There's lots of different playlists with lots of different types of lessons and advice and help. There is something for everybody. So on that note, I will probably play us out of here, but I'll see everybody on Monday for either a Think Out Loud if I get a good submission. No offense to people sending not great submissions. And then Tuesday for office hours. Be safe, get some rest, and I will see everybody Monday. Thanks. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are